Welcome back, everybody. Lesson learned. Trying to record these videos on site from Salem was a bad idea. The first two videos got posted. I tried recording a few others, but the quality just was pretty poor. It was a fantastic trip. Boston's awesome. Salem was awesome. It was just nearly impossible to find any quiet location that was worth recording from without just lots of people being around, or cars passing, or trucks passing, or ambulances passing, or anything. And it's just because it's their busy season. I definitely didn't want to be that weirdo walking around at 3 a.m. recording content. It's still a neighborhood. There's still people who live there. We're back in the office. I'll get things recorded and uploaded. We're still going to have 31 days of content, but it'll be consolidated down to kind of closing the gaps, and I'll re-record the stuff that I tried to while I was there. But for today, we're talking about attacker attribution. And this was kind of on, it was in context of Salem, because a lot of what was going on there with the witch trials and things like that. So I thought attribution would be a very interesting topic to cover. What is attacker attribution? So in cybersecurity, attribution is kind of the idea that you want to identify who is attacking you, or who an attacker would be. For a lot of us, it's natural to want to know who the bad guy is, put a name and a face to something, versus just seeing activity in a log. It almost humanizes it a little bit. I don't know, it makes it more personal sometimes. So there's a lot of reasons people seek attribution. Attribution can happen in a couple different ways. A lot of organizations like Mandiant, MITRE, Microsoft, all those groups track different types of threat actors, and they give them different names. And they're able to attribute different attacks to those threat actors. And this is helpful because we're able to collect different TTPs and say, hey, this collection of activity tends to occur at the same time. So if you're seeing, A, B, and C, maybe also look for X, Y, and Z. It's also helpful from a threat intelligence perspective. We'll do some other videos on threat intelligence later. But the idea that if you're in a specific vertical or industry and there's different attackers and threat actors who are going after those industries, you can say, okay, APT1 is doing, these kinds of things against this industry. I'm in that industry, so I should make sure my defenses do these kinds of things. It gives you a bit of a threat-based or a defense mechanism, so you can kind of look at what the threats are, you can identify the threats, and you can base your defenses on that. Now, the problem that we run into with attribution is that during incident response, if you're really trying to focus on who the attacker is, it can create biases. So if you see some activity and you're like, man, that looks like APT 23, from that moment forward, you have to be very cognizant about biases that you're introducing. When you see other activity, you might say, well, this threat actor doesn't do that, so that's probably not related to this attack, when really you have no idea who your attacker is, so you can't just cross stuff off like that. You want to do your best to not introduce biases, and introducing attribution as one more avenue of creating a bias just probably isn't ideal, especially during incident response. So Rob Lee over at Dragos, when I took a course with him at SANS, his perspective on it was really, really helpful. His whole thing was, if you were to get positive attribution, it turned out to be The Simpsons, right? Like, did that matter? And did it change anything you were doing? And the answer is usually no. The only times attribution tends to matter and is pretty important is if you're in law enforcement or military or some other organization that has to then take next steps against that attacker, whether it be an arrest or some other thing. So attribution is trying to put a name and a group and identify the who behind an attack. For most of us, it's not really the most important part of incident response. So make sure that you're using information about APTs to help guide your defenses and guide your investigation maybe, but don't allow it to introduce biases that could cause you to miss important information, or often just write off important information because it no longer matches the lens that you're viewing your attack through. And that's today's kind of video on attribution. I'll post some links in the video details on more information, especially from Rob Lee. I think he has a really good take on the whole thing. So definitely want to share that. But other than that, we'll get some more videos posted and we'll get caught up for the month. Have a great Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Thanks, everybody.